time, I'm joined by John Dunston, who is the Harris Manchester Director of Music. John, very pleased to be able to talk to you.
Thank you, Ashley. It's great to be chatting with you as well.
So let's start with your role as Director of Music. What exactly do you do as the college's Director of Music?
Thanks for that big question, and a good one. I suppose that the opportunities that are here in college are my responsibility. I want to create as many and as diverse opportunities as possible for the whole community, students, fellows, staff, to take part in whatever musical activities reflect their own interests. I think my core activity is conducting the chapel choir for our weekly evensong on a Wednesday, and for other special events, special services. We had for example, the induction of the principal a couple of years ago. And there have been various special services during the last couple of years, and amongst them perhaps Christmas, Oxmass as we call it here, is one of the highlights, because there we cover all sorts of music. For example, a beautiful service in the chapel, intimate, cheerful, moving, and very spiritual. But then after that, we break out into a much more secular, almost a wild community carol singing, or have done in the past, along the ground floor corridor with mulled wine and mince pies, and everybody is there singing their hearts out. Obviously this year it's going to be very, very different, but that's an example of how we combine the sacred and the secular. So we have a small chapel choir. Some of those singers are experienced singers. Some have been awarded choral clerkships or choral scholarships. Others are maybe less experienced, haven't sung much before, or have sung a little and just want to keep singing. We rehearse a couple of times a week, and then have our service on a Wednesday evening. But there's a great variety of singers there, and it's essentially a non-auditioned choir, except for those who want to apply for a choral award. There's also been, during last year, a new secular choir, which had various names during its lifetime, reflecting the fun nature of the music we sang, whether it was songs from the shows, or spirituals, or folk songs, or pop or rock music. And that was a lovely little group. Some, of course, have left, but we're very much hoping that can continue again for those who enjoy singing in a group, but not necessarily sacred music in a chapel service. So there'll be opportunities for that as well. And of course, chances for students, fellows, staff to perform as well at some of our informal concerts, which take place in chapel mostly, occasionally also musical events in the Arloche Hall, predominantly though in the chapel. I ought to just explain that we have had a series of weekly lunchtime recitals by outside musicians, visiting musicians. It goes back years, that tradition, and it's been a marvellous feature of the week. And the last concert of the term has always been in-house, with students and staff and fellows from Harris Manchester performing, singing, playing a whole variety of music. Last time I remember one of the highlights was an Elton John song, great song sung by two of our finalists. So there's been a great variety. This time, of course, we can't have visiting musicians from outside, so we'll try and put together maybe a smaller scale programme with opportunities for musicians within the college. So the time is right for anyone who's dreamed of performing in a very, very informal, supportive setting with generally a smallish audience, to take advantage of that, and I hope many will.
We're thinking a lot at the moment in terms of the situation as restrictive in various different ways, but actually this is a really good example of how an opportunity is opened up, I suppose, for members of the community who want to get more involved in music.
Right, actually, yes, you put that very well, and we'll try and develop something over the coming weeks to reflect that. I've also spent a lot of time accompanying individuals, whether singers or solo instrumentalists, flautists, violinists, cellists, for example, we've had. And I also give piano lessons to a small number of people in the community. And we've worked out a way in which that can continue to happen in a properly socially distanced way. As you say, we'll just adapt everything and make it fit these unusual times, because it's undoubtedly the case that when we have something like this, when we're living in a plague, then music is perhaps even more essential for the well-being of a community than it would be during more normal times. And I want to do everything we can to make sure that can be reflected in what we achieve at the college here.
Great. Yes, I think that is a really, really important point, that we do keep lots of community aspects of the community life going in ways that can be sort of uplifting and supportive. So it sounds as though there's going to be a lot going on. If somebody wants to get involved in all of this, what's the best thing for them to do? Who should they approach?
Well, two simple things. One is to keep an eye on the music notice board on the main downstairs corridor there outside the offices. And all sorts of information, in fact, went up there today. Today's Monday, by the way, the 5th of October, when we're recording this.
This is when the freshers learn how long it takes to produce one of these. Yes, hopefully they'll hear it very soon.
You'll decide whether to edit that little comment out. I hope you leave it in, but anyway, in the meantime, there's that. And also the simplest is just to send me an email, john.dunston@HMC and the rest. And I'll get straight back to you. Some, in fact, have already approached me following the email that they had at the end of double North Week, or North Week -1. And we're going to pursue all those and other activities in the future, certainly once freshers have settled in. But just drop me an email. That would be the simplest.
Great, thank you. And I suppose, are there opportunities for people to do brand new things, not necessarily the things you've listed, but they may have their own ideas of the sorts of music or events they want to run?
Absolutely, 100%. For example, from time to time, we've had a jazz band has sprung up. We've got a certain amount of kit here in college which can be used. We'll have to work out how jazz can be played socially distanced. I've no doubt it can be, but that is an example of something that sprang up. It's absolutely a student's initiative. And I know there are others who do a fantastic job on a cappella and beatbox singing. Really, anything goes. I hesitate to say anything goes, but anything can be raised, and I would be delighted to hear from anybody in the community if they've got a particular plan or project or idea, or can we try this, or would this work, or has the college ever done that? Please, everybody, just come and talk to me, see me, and if it can be done, we'll do it. My aim is to try and make everything possible that we want to do. So any ideas that people have, bringing their own musical experience and enthusiasms, just let me know, and we'll do what we can to support it.
Great, thank you, John. Just to finish off, a couple of questions I'm asking everybody I'm speaking to in these interviews. First of all, what's your favourite thing about Harris Manchester?
There would be a long list. I'm sure I'm not alone in feeling that. But I think what is extraordinary that I've sensed in my time here is the way that the fine principle of equality within the community is reflected in so much that we do. The fact, for example, that on High Table we have exactly the same food as everyone. There is one meal for everybody. Nothing hierarchical about it at all. And coupled with that is that the food is so fantastic. So I think that, I mean, I could go on, but I think that's probably enough of a multi-favourite thing about HMC.
Yes, and a great thing that freshers can start to get involved in almost immediately on their arrival, I hope.
I agree, absolutely.
Discover the truth of what you're saying. Great, and just a final question. What, if anything, do you remember about your own Freshers' Week?
Well, That's really delving into the memory. As it happens, it's 50 years ago this year since I started as an undergraduate at Selwyn, Cambridge.
Gosh, congratulations!
Well, when I was bowled over by the community itself and the glorious architecture and the whole atmosphere of the place. And I think Freshers Week particularly enabled me to make some new friends straight away. Of course, I was straight out of school then, in a more traditional arrival at Oxbridge or uni generally. And but I made friends there that I've kept up with, and I know these are friends from the very beginning, from that first week, that are still very, very dear and close friends now. Two of them, in fact, I was best man at their weddings some years later. So these are things that one never loses, and the question has actually brought back those experiences, Ashley, very vividly and happily to the front of my mind. So I'm grateful to you for that.
Oh, you're very welcome. It's good to hear that, and also it'll be interesting for the freshers to know. Choose your friends very carefully in the next few weeks, because you may be stuck with them for a very long time.
You might think that. I couldn't possibly comment.
That's a great point on which to end. Thank you very much, John.
I think so. Thank you, Ashley.